Yeah, burning. I believe my soul's on fire. On burning.
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So have you seen anything that you said, oh my gosh?
Not yet. In February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that.
You guys, I screwed up so bad, and you know that I always take accountability when I mess something up, and I need to come out here and I need to make something right because I did somebody wrong. Actually, two people. I need to apologize to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell because clearly they're innocent. I mean, there's like over 1,000 victims, but there was nobody that they were trafficked to. And there's no evidence. Clearly no evidence. So clearly they're innocent. We need to let Ghislaine out of jail right now, right? Like she's in there for trafficking kids, but like to who? Because clearly they're not telling us. They're saying none of it ever happened and none of these people exist. So do I owe these people an apology?
Well, I think that knucklehead owes Trump and the entire cabinet an apology because we just saw exactly what Jeffrey Epstein was charged for. And we just saw what Ghislaine Maxwell was just charged for, didn't we? Now, in either of those news articles, was there any mention of a client list or a blackmail scheme? Both of those things. Okay. And I want you to hear me because I really put a lot of work into trying to debunk this. And there has never been any official involved in any of the investigations into Epstein or Maxwell, both times with Epstein back in 2006 and then to date. And there was never, ever, even the slightest hint of anything about a client list, and there was never any hint about blackmail. Both of those things are internet-born conspiracies. And the reason why I think it's important to talk about it is that first article I shared with you is kind of the same thing that's going on now. You've got this angry mob looking for something that doesn't exist. And two men were dragged to jail and then dragged out of the jail cell and set on fire. over nothing more than a rumor born on the WhatsApp, someone grossly exaggerating. Because these two guys stopped at a hardware store to grab supplies for a fence they were working on. And somebody said, hey, is that the two guys that kidnapped the kid? And from there, they ended up being burned to death in the street. And we see the same thing going on. I am so freaking disappointed in so many people, YouTubers that I have supported over the years, extremely disappointed. And, you know, if I was Donald Trump, I wouldn't blame the guy if he threw his hands in the air and he just handed it all back to the Democrats. Because what I've learned lately is MAGA is a bunch of ungrateful lunatics that aren't even deserving of somebody of the caliber of Donald Trump. I mean, they are unwilling to give him and his cabinet even the slightest benefit of doubt. You know, I thought the Democrats were the lunatics. But I'm finding out they're not alone. You know, most of MAGA is crack squad, it seems. Believing in wild, silly, stupid, childish, grossly exaggerated internet fairy tales. Like Kylie Rodney's not real. Or the government shot laser beams out of space and burnt cars and houses up in Hawaii. Or George Bush prepared the World Trade Center buildings for an industrial-style implosion while over 100,000 people a day went in and out of the buildings. And nobody noticed, and nobody ever told. Too stupid to know it would take semi-truckloads of explosives strategically placed with girders jackhammered and everything else to make a building implode on itself of that size. And, you know, the silly, jet fuel can't, they can't melt steel. Yeah, but a blast furnace can. And that's what those buildings turned into. They turned into one of the world's largest blast furnaces. Largest chimney in the world, just burning, raging out of control, and it melted the girders and they gave away. And when they gave away, the weight above them put too much stress on the girders below and it fell in on itself. But there's idiots out there that actually believe that George Bush and a handful of his buddies somehow rigged these buildings to implode on themselves without anybody knowing because they wanted to steal Iraq's oil. Yet we didn't take even a gallon of oil out. And now here we go with this ridiculous, and I've heard it ad nauseum from every conservative YouTuber about some client list that never existed. The other silly notion that Epstein, there's this other big internet fairy tale, right? That nobody knows what Epstein did for money. Well, that's just a big fairy tale. I live near New Albany, Ohio. I managed an auto shop in New Albany, Ohio. I drove to work there every single day. And I saw exactly what Jeffrey Epstein does for money. Every single day, I saw it right in front of my face. Jeffrey Epstein was a development broker, a very successful development broker that brokered billions of dollars worth of land deals. And one of the biggest projects that he was ever involved in was right in New Albany, Ohio. He teamed with Lex Wexner, and they developed the entire area there for the Facebook data center a Google data center, the Intel factory, and an complete NVIDIA complex, factory, testing, research, development, and distribution, and an Amazon fulfillment center. They bought like 20 mansions. I mean, actual big mansions, and just tore them down, just mowed them over to make way for Facebook and NVIDIA. And I got to listen to idiots on the internet say, oh, nobody knows what Jeffrey Epstein did for money. He must have blackmailed a bunch of people. That's what he did. He blackmailed people and made billions of dollars. Nobody ever told on him, and he just got away with it, cuz. And you know what? He videotaped all of it. And he's got a list of everybody's name that did it with him. I mean, it's just absurd. It's just ridiculously absurd. And to see it run amok like it has in recent days, because the stupid, low IQ, crack squad level conspiracy theorists can't get the Department of Justice to go around arresting a bunch of mystery people that Jeffrey Epstein may have had their phone number at one time. And let's just say, for the sake of an argument, that there was some Rolodex full of phone numbers on Jeffrey Epstein's desk, in his office, in the mansion, on the island. And by God, they've got that Rolodex. What would it prove? Just told you, and I'm telling you, folks, there is an abundance of irrefutable evidence that Jeffrey Epstein was a very legit development broker, an investment broker. That's what he did. And he hobnobbed with the richest people in the world and was involved in some of the largest developments in the world. And yes, he made a lot of money. That project that they did in New Albany, the profit and the commission from that was so much higher than what they had originally projected that Lex Wexner gifted him a redstone mansion across the street from Central Park. I bet a lot of you didn't know that. So, do I think some sleazeballs maybe messed around with the little hot pants 17-year-old that was there willingly, but still underage? It was still a crime. I'm not making excuses for it. But at 17 years old, you know exactly why you're pulling your pants down. Okay. When I was 16 years old, I knew girls that knew more than porn stars. The whole pedo thing, that isn't even true. That's not true. There's absolutely ever been a single accusation that he had anything to do with a prepubescent child. Now, underage, absolutely. Crime, absolutely. That's why Maxwell's sitting in jail. And that's exactly why Epstein deleted himself, because he knew he wasn't going to get away with it this time. He knew he was headed to prison for many, many years, and he didn't want to face it. He's a big coward, like most of those people are. They're cowards. And so he deleted himself. You understand, everything beyond that is just absolute baseless speculation. There isn't a shred of evidence to support any of these internet rumors, these internet conspiracies. There isn't a shred of evidence that would support any of them. In both of those entire articles listing everything that Jeffrey Epstein was investigated for and arrested for by two completely different agencies from two different regions in the world, there was no mention of blackmail. There was no mention of a client list. And there was never anything about any prepubescent child. Secondly, same thing goes for Maxwell. But then you've got this idiot, there's this, the last guy in this video, this knucklehead. Okay, he's a turd. This guy's a turd, and you can tell him I said so. He's a big turd. He glorifies prison life. And he's one of these guys that thinks, well, if you've been to prison, you're hard. I think if you've been to prison, you're just kind of dumb. You're not necessarily hard, you're just stupid. And he's one of them. And you hear him immediately completely misconstrue everything, claiming that, why don't we let Maxwell go? She's not guilty of anything. Well, she was charged with abusing an underage girl. That's what she's in prison for. So what do you mean she's innocent? She was not accused of trafficking. Jeffrey Epstein got a trafficking charge not based on the fact that he sold somebody. His trafficking charge came from taking these girls across state lines. They charged him with trafficking for that. They had no evidence that he trafficked them to other people. Now, one of the girls that came forward said that she was trafficked. But the only evidence she had that she was trafficked was one photo of her standing with Prince Charles. That's it. That was her entirety of her evidence of being trafficked. Now, you tell me a 17-year-old is too dumb to take a photo. A 17-year-old is too dumb to write down a date. A 17-year-old is too dumb to make a phone call. A 17-year-old is too dumb to do any of these things. We're not talking 1960. We're talking 2012, 2013. Internet, Facebook, all that was around, Instagram. And she couldn't provide one minuscule of proof beyond one single photo of her standing next to Prince Charles. Now, I have no doubt that Epstein manipulated her. No doubt at all. I'm certain that he did. He was totally guilty of it, and so was Maxwell. How do we know they were guilty of that with her? Well, that's what the video showed. There was actually video of him violating her, along with some child porn that he downloaded. And you've got knuckleheads on the internet screaming, release the files, release the files. Where's the client list? Like the Department of Justice is going to release these videos to the public, for God's sakes. It really bothers me that in the last 5 years, the internet conspiracies have just ran amok and literally taken over people's lives and destroyed innocent people. Just imagine. I want you guys to think, if you will. Let's say they did get a Rolodex off of Jeffrey Epstein's desk. And the mobs, give us the list, give us the list, give us the list. And so they throw Jeffrey Epstein's Rolodex to the internet. And in there is some 38-year-old loan broker working at some bank that Jeffrey Epstein had to call 5 times to close a deal. Every one of these knuckleheads is going to accuse that person of being pedo. You know it and I know it. But they would instantly be accused. Instantly. But everybody in that Rolodex would be guilty of crimes against people too young to buy cigarettes without a shred of evidence. And the internet would ruin them. Just absolutely ruin them. And, you know, I talking to my wife last night, I am so thankful that the internet didn't come along till I was well into my 30s. Because, I mean, the lives it destroys, the lies, the text doesn't have a tone to it. And it's often, way too many times, misconstrued. And the people are accused of things they didn't do. They're accused of saying things in anger when they weren't even mad, because the tone only lives with the person reading the text. There's no way to express tone in text. So the only thing that you're going to get is the person reading it. Whatever they interpret the tone to be, I guess that's the tone. And it oftentimes is misconstrued. Between the scamming, the grossly exaggerated conspiracies that run amok, and you just saw that guy right there. I just showed you, and I'm not singling him out. There's hundreds of these conservative pundits doing this right now, saying the stupid crap. Well, you might as well let Maxwell out of jail if they're not guilty of something. They weren't charged to have anything to do with the list. They weren't charged to have anything to do with traffic. He was charged with participating in abusing a girl too young to buy cigarettes. He's talking about thousands of victims. Where did he ever get that from? There was never any talk of thousands of victims. That chick, I can't remember her name. She just deleted herself because she was suffering from a terminal illness. But it's like there's this rumor now that she was done away. Well, why would someone need to do away with her? She's already told her story. She's told it in a book. She told it in 2 courts. She's told it everywhere. It's a little late to be deleting her, don't you think? Good God. And Maxwell knew everything that Jeffrey Epstein did. So why is she still alive? Come on, internet conspiracy theorists. No plane hit the Pentagon, believers. Except for, the landing gears and stuff they picked up and all the parts and the 25,000 air traffic controllers that followed it all the way to the ground. Besides those, the no plane hit the Pentagon believers. Why is Maxwell still alive? The Kylie Rodney is not real believers. Why? Why would you need to delete the person that already testified? People are crazy. And the biggest problem is the internet has gave really stupid, low IQ people audiences and a voice. And it's provided a bunch of just poppycock nonsense to people too small-minded and not well-equipped enough to decipher fantasy from the truth. And I don't know what it is they think some Jeffrey Epstein client list, what would it do for you? How would it improve the quality of your life? Well, it wouldn't, right? How would it improve your future finances? It wouldn't. So what do you, why are people slobbering for this thing? Like if they don't get it, they're going to quit breathing. And what would it prove? Just because Epstein has someone's phone number, that doesn't make them guilty. Is that the world you want to live in? Where if your friend gets arrested for abusing someone not old enough to buy cigarettes, if your number's in his phone, by God, you're guilty too. Is that what we're doing now? If they even had such a list, and they don't, there never was one, even if they had such a list, releasing it now would be a travesty of misjustice and so unfair to the people in that list. Because like I said, these nut jobs would instantly convict these people. They would forever be labeled pedos without a shred of evidence. So even if they find some list of phone numbers Epstein may have had, I hope to God they don't ever release it. Because all it's going to do is ruin a bunch of innocent people. I don't know where we go from here. Donald Trump has sacrificed so much. And these ungrateful pieces of crap can't even shut up long enough to give him the benefit of the doubt. They are worse than Democrats in my book. I mean, these people just believe the biggest fairy tales I've ever seen. Convict people based on nothing more than rumors. And just ready to just throw everybody under the bus because they didn't get their fabricated client list validated by the DOJ. I just read another comment. Well, I think all the tapes, in fact, the whole file should be released for the general public to decipher. Do we ever do that in any cases? Just release all the evidence to everybody? You heard what they said. It's not videos fit for public consumption. What are you going to get from it? We know what it is. And you can bet your bottom dollar. I don't care what you guys say. Oh, rich people, powerful people, they go on, they're blackmail, and you got money. It's just nonsense. If there was a microspec, I mean even the slightest microspec, that Trump was involved with anything to do with underage, it would have been crammed down our throats at nauseum. by the former FBI that leaked everything. The reason why they never leaked it? You know why they didn't leak it? Because there was no there. That's why. And if they had evidence of somebody else abusing underage, I don't think it would matter how much money they had, they would get charged with it. Despite what you conspiracy theorists think, they would get charged. If it was a politician, if it was a Democrat politician, the Republicans would out them in a blink. If it was a Republican politician, the mainstream media and the Democrats would out them in a blink. And I just wish people would slow down enough to use their head. For just 5 minutes, just stop and think about what you're saying before you spread rumors. And then the thing that gets me is they grossly exaggerate their own concocted rumors. They create a rumor and then they exaggerate their own rumor. Now it's thousands of victims and good grief. I looked at every news report. I looked at the list of evidence that they got because they show it. They show what all they tagged for evidence. There's no so-called client list. I mean, short of the phone numbers in his phone, that what there wasn't. And here's the real funny thing that really goes to show the level of stupidity it takes to believe in this nonsense. Jeffrey Epstein was caught once in 2006. He knew he was a hot potato. He knew he was likely being watched, and he knew if he got caught again, it was prison for him. So you want me to believe he just very recklessly videotaped everything and wrote everyone's name down and just had it laying around on his desk for the FBI to grab? That guy could have had stuff hid places in the world they wouldn't even have known existed. There isn't anything. I'm positive that he probably turned somebody on, some of his buddies on the Little Miss Hot Pants. I'm sure of it. She was having the time of her life. Don't you kid yourself for a minute. Hobnobbing around the world with some of the richest people, flying around on jets. She was digging every minute of it. But this idea that he could get somebody to come there and do something, and then he would videotape it and then tell them, hey, you got to give me a couple $1 million or I'm going to tell. Come on, man. Whew. One, I don't think anybody in that group of friends would be that dumb. I'd say, sure, Jeffrey, you want me to do her in this room or this room? You ain't got no cameras in there down, do you? Good grief. I don't know, people. Sometimes I wonder how, you guys make it through the day without, needing like supervision and somebody to help you. I mean, what the hell do you people do when like your furnace breaks or something? I don't know. Because It'd be so easy to scam you. Oh yeah, you need a connoter valve and a Wally Todd. It's 25 grand. Just give it to me now. Oh yeah, did you hear about Epstein trafficking that girl to thousands of people when he had a whole list? Kept all their names and even videotaped it and blackmailed them. And the FBI's got it all and they won't show it to us. You hear about that? How much you say it was to fix my furnace? 25 grand. Okay, here you go. Did you hear that Kylie Rodney girl wasn't real? Yeah, Upchurch said so. Ask him. Yeah, your parents just faked all that to get $1,500 from a GoFundMe account they didn't even have access to. What's this world coming to? Disappointing. I saw, I used to be able to in the business I was in, when I was shop foreman and I was training new technicians in the dealership, I might get one dud in the whole year. The rest of the guys, man, be pretty sharp and pick it up. But every year, they seem to get a little dumber. And a little bit dumber. And the more popular the internet got, the dumber they got. And they got dumber. And they got dumber. And pretty soon, I was training employees like that Jeffrey on, who is putting air in a portable air tank, picking it up and setting it down, wondering why it's not getting any heavier because he put 30 pounds of air in it. Yeah. I hope at least some of the people that subscribe to my channel are smart enough to know that the blackmail is a rumor and it's unsubstantiated and it really would have been a pretty impossible thing to do. When you think about it at the level, because here's the implication from the small mind, the low IQers, is that Jeffrey Epstein didn't do it, didn't have any legit income. He just tricked rich people into, banging this underage girl he had hanging around, and then he would blackmail him because he videotaped it. And he kept all their names on a list. Yeah, it was called a client list, said right at the top, offender client list. Was right there on his desk in his office. I mean, that's the implication, right? So, how many people would he have to blackmail to make millions of dollars a year and have a mansion in Florida, a redstone in New York City across from Central Park, and a damn private island with a mansion on it? Nobody saw that money ever get transferred either. There was, yes, I saw evidence taken out of his house. I didn't see a client list. I saw hard drives. Very common for people to keep backup hard drives. That is a very, 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 very common thing. You would do that for many reasons, especially if you're in business. Like, even I had to do that. Every night when I left the shop I was managing, we had to back up the customer database every single night and take the drive out and take it home with us. Because if there was a fire, we didn't want to lose the customer database. As portables came along and you could back up stuff on portables, then it was a lot easier, but we still took it home with us every night. Again, Jeffrey Epstein was an extremely successful investment broker for decades. He was involved in huge projects that made lots of money. He partnered, at one time, Lex Wexner was the richest guy in the world. And he did a lot of development deals with Wexner. Wexner bankrolled it. Jeffrey Epstein brokered it. He got commission. How much commission do you think there would have been on that NVIDIA complex deal? 10 million? 5 million? How much commission you think there was on a Facebook data center deal? Like 30 acres of land developed, streets and shit and everything. I mean, yeah, he made legit money. He brokered a whole bunch of huge condo projects in the New Albany area as well. And so the whole notion that he was running around blackmailing people to get his money, it's just an internet rumor that's unsubstantiated. Neither agency that investigated him had any evidence that any blackmail ever took place. You don't think they checked? My God. There would have been a money trail. In this country, in the United States, it would be very freaking difficult to pay someone millions of dollars for nothing. It'd be really hard to do. You might do it once. You might do it twice, maybe. But there'd be a time when, the IRS is going to come knocking, want to know where that money went and who's paying taxes on it. You can't even pay cash for, like, if you go in somewhere and try to pay, if you tried to pay cash, do an all cash deal on a house, you've got to fill out several forms describing where you got the money, when you got the money, who you got the money from. Oh yeah. So this notion that in 2025 you can run around blackmailing billionaires for millions, it's just poppycock. Absolute, utter poppycock. Could it possibly happen once? Maybe. You might get away with it once on one person. But the internet wants you to believe that Jeffrey Epstein flew people there every weekend and videotaped them doing the deed and then blackmailed them. So much so, they had a whole list of people. And the internet wants to look at these porn tapes. They want to see Jeffrey's butt going up and down. I would have never dreamed there were so many stupid people in the MAGA movement. I thought a lot of the people in the MAGA movement were like me, man. I thought I was around my peeps. People got some common sense and a moral foundation to go with it. It turns out, man, there's some, but the majority of them are just low IQ dipshits. Sorry to say. And ungrateful ones at that. It takes me back to this nonsense again with Elon Musk. Great guy, I like everything he did. Doge is great, all that. But Elon got really addicted to Trump's attention. He got extremely addicted to Trump's attention. And in much the same way, Upchurch thinks everyone's success is because of him, that their talent had nothing to do with it. It was just him featuring them once. That's why they made it. If he hadn't have featured them, they wouldn't have made it, because it's not their talent that helped them make it. It was his feature of them. So now you got Epstein, or you got Elon Musk thinking that all this excitement and all this following and all this energy for Trump was really coming at him. And he didn't know he just jumped on that wave and rode it for a minute. He didn't make the wave. The wave wasn't coming to give him a ride. He just jumped on it. And still he got drunk on it really fast. And in his head, he thinks, Trump won because of him, when in reality, Trump would have won in spite of him. Trump would have won had he not said one word. Trump would have won if he would have been bad-mouthing Trump the entire time. Elon Musk could have bad-mouthed Trump every single day for the entire year leading up to the election, and Donald Trump would have still won. And Elon Musk now is too big-headed to understand that. That it had nothing to do with him. The MAGA movement was something that was started by the unfairness that was taking place around the world, on the internet, riots, all that. And the mainstream media constantly lying, and the intolerance toward Christians, the intolerance toward straight people, and especially the intolerance aimed at white people. That is where the MAGA movement come from. It had nothing to do with an Elon Musk. And he's going to regret in the long run doing any of this. And if he started his own party, it would flop faster than a flapjack at 4 a.m. at a huddle house in a small Alabama town full of white people. Guy kills me. Now somebody else. Here we are again with the same story that he just apologized for. Now Trump's business partner was on the list. That's why it's not being released. That client list that he made of all the people that he blackmailed. The thousands of victims. I think about those guys that, got burned to death. Imagine you're out working, you and your uncle are out building a fence, and you jump in your truck to go to the hardware store, and some knucklehead with his smartphone text on Facebook that, hey, here's the guys that kidnapped that kid. Based on nothing more than them not ever seeing your truck before. And the next thing you know, you're surrounded by a mob, and the police come and haul you off to jail. And then the mob shows up at the jail and rips the jail open and sets you on fire. I see the same low IQ mentality within the MAGA movement. And it just blows my mind. Imagine if Trump was just so wishy-washy that the first millisecond that he detected anything that was unsupportive, he just quit. He just quit MAGA. Because that's what they do to him. It blows my mind that these dumbasses actually think that Dan Bongino and Kash Patel would lie to cover up somebody messing with an underage girl. What would they have to gain by doing that? Ridiculous. Just absolutely ridiculous. There's not a snowball's chance in hell that anyone, Epstein or anyone that was messing with underage people, convincing high-level people to do it too, recording them and blackmailing them, would keep a list. I mean, these dumbasses actually think that that could happen, and then they actually think that someone that was doing that at that level of millions of dollars at stake would keep a list. Oh. Look at this dummy. I've never seen. I suppose you're one of them guys that thinks that there wasn't no plane hit that daggone Pentagon. They had a bomb there and they blew a hole in it. All them people at the Pentagon are just lying. All those people that helped pick up all the airplane debris and all the parts and shit and landing gear that was laying in the middle of the hallway, they made all that shit up. Hell, them air traffic controllers, every one of them was in on it. Every daggone one of them. Wasn't they? Wasn't it? I bet there was, wasn't it, Nola? Every one of them air traffic controllers was in on that 9/11 conspiracy. All 28,000 of them. Yep, they just made pretend like there was some blips on the radar screen. And they kind of made the fake blips look like they crashed. And then they all kept it a secret. None of them ever told. Know what I mean? Ain't that right, Nola? Ain't that right? And by God, that Epstein, he never made 10 cents of honest money a day in his life. Every dime he had came from tricking a rich person into banging his little hot pants 17-year-old girlfriend so he could videotape it and blackmail him. And he kept a list of every one of them people's on his desk. So when the FBI come to arrest him a second time, they could find it. I'm telling you, he made millions doing that. Hey, did you hear what Upchurch said? Ventures with Purpose was in on the conspiracy to get the GoFundMe money. They was, I'm telling you. Ain't that right, Nola? Was the FBI in on that too? Police station, that fake police station? With the fake volunteers and the fake EMS? With the fake missing daughter and the fake car? With the fake fire tower video? You know them guys? I bet they was friends with Epstein. They was probably going to I bet they was going to take her to Epstein's house. and videotape Elon Musk 69er so they could blackmail him for 3 electric cars and a Cybertruck. By God. I'll say a prayer for you, Nola. If you believe one single internet conspiracy, you need people to pray for you. You really do. You've got some growing up to do. You've got some maturing to do. And you probably ought to maybe try to see somebody to see if you could get like deprogrammed, because you've let the internet melt your brain. There's no client list, Nola. And if you had every phone number in Jeffrey Epstein's phone right now, every phone number, but let's say we just give you Jeffrey Epstein's main phone and his burner phone. We give it to you. So now you got every contact in both phones. Which one of them did it with him? Which one of them's guilty of doing it too? Like when your car breaks down, okay, are you one of them people like up church that, you claim to be country, you claim to be all hard and shit, but you get in a car and turn the key and the damn thing would crank over 90 miles an hour, woo, 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 and never start. And you just keep cranking on, woo, 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 and it's not starting, it's not starting, it's not starting. And then you say, well, maybe I need a jump. Are you one of them guys? Maybe if I jump started. Too clueless to know that jump starting doesn't do anything for a battery that ain't dead. The battery's got to be dead first. If the battery's dead, it's not going to make no sound when you turn the key. It gonna do nothing. I'd like to hear. Tell us in your own words, and be calm about it. And you tell us, like, what would the list look like, Nola? I didn't say he didn't do anything with underage. See, you don't listen. This is the problem with you people. You don't listen. I didn't say he didn't. Maxwell's sitting in prison, and Epstein was on his way to prison if he wouldn't have been such a coward and killed himself. Because he didn't want to go to prison for several years. He knew he was going there. He knew they had the videos that he downloaded. He knew they had the video of him messing with that girl. He knew they had all of it. And it was his second charge. And so he knew he was going away for a long time, despite what all the YouTubers you watch told you. He knew he was going to prison. Here's the funny thing that gets me. Okay, here's the part that I can't ever get any of you conspiracy nuts, and I mean nuts, to acknowledge. If the DOJ won't release the Epstein list, because of rich and powerful people, then why did they ever charge him in the first place? Why did they ever investigate him in the first place? Why did they arrest his girlfriend and try her and put her in prison? If these people were so powerful that they can't release the client list, wouldn't he have just been untouchable? Wouldn't they have just looked the other way? Can't answer it, can you? Because it don't make any fucking sense. Yeah, I'm the police chief and the county prosecutor are going to let this guy out of jail because he's connected to some rich, powerful people. But then why did the fuck did they arrest him in the first place and put him in there? So if Epstein was blackmailing people that are so powerful that Dan Bongino and Pam Bondi and Cash Patel and Donald Trump can't release the client list, why did they ever arrest him in the first place? Why was he ever investigated in the first place? What was that all for? If they were going to let him get away, why did they even put him in jail? Why didn't they just let him get away and say, well, we were going to arrest him and he took off. We couldn't catch him. Daggone. Flew that damn jet right out the country. And he had some kind of a jamming mechanism on there. And not a single one of our 23,000 air traffic controllers could pick that jet up on the radar screen. Oh, it's true. I'm telling you. Ask Upchurch. He'll tell you. I'm serious. One of them helicopters flew over his house just the other day. That's one of them deep state dark force. The deep state dark force. That's who won't let that's who won't let Pam Bondi release the client list. Give us the client list so we can accuse everyone on it with no evidence at all. I'll say one thing. The media does a pretty good job distracting you fools from everything that even matters. If Epstein blackmailed 15 people and all 15 of them were arrested tomorrow, not one thing about your life would improve. Not one thing about your finances would change. It would not do one single thing for you. Not one thing. Not one thing about your life would be different. No one's life would change, really. It's sort of like the stupidity of Democrats that just carry on about rich people and taxes. You see, Democrats are too stupid to piece together that poor people are the ones who pay no taxes in this country. Low wage earners are the ones who pay no taxes in this country. And Democrats are kind of too dense and too narrow-minded to make the connection that, oh, that's right. people that make under $250,000 a year get an income tax return. What does return mean? I need to look it up in the dictionary and see what return actually means. Oh, you mean they get back the money that the government borrowed from them? And some of them actually get back more than they paid in? If they've got under, school-age children? Well, then, if all those people are getting an income tax return, who's paying for the highways and USAID and the $480 billion we give to Ukraine, and who's paying for all that? If the poor people aren't paying for it, who is? Because God knows rich people don't pay any taxes, not a penny. And every election year, that's all you hear from Democrats: rich pay more taxes, rich pay more taxes, rich pay. And it wouldn't change a thing about their life. But it wouldn't improve. If some rich guy suddenly had to pay more taxes, some dumb Democrat voter making 30 grand a year, their life wouldn't change one microspec. Their life wouldn't improve. They wouldn't have any more money. They wouldn't have any more freedoms. Nothing would change. Just some rich dude they don't know would have to pay a couple $1,000s more in taxes. But yet the media is able to whip these people into a frenzy that rich people don't pay taxes, and it's just nonsense. They pay all the tax. It's the poorer folks that don't pay anything at all. And if you make under 15,000, you get the full child tax credit. There were ghetto girls getting $12,000 back after babysitting part-time. Wrap your mind around that. So, and it's just distractions for these people. It's just absolute distractions. So they get these Democrats all whipped up into stupid stuff that doesn't matter in their life at all. Half of it's not true because they don't have any policies that people can sink their teeth into. And all of this crap that you hear now, it's just distractions. It's background noise. And I'm going to say 90% of what you hear about Epstein on the internet is pure, unmitigated, fabricated, grossly exaggerated bullshit. Again, did he mess with underage girls? Yep, sure did. Did he maybe hook a couple of his buddies up? I bet he did. Did it go beyond that? Did he blackmail a bunch of rich people and that's where he got all his money? No. Did he keep a list of everyone's name that did it? No. Well, you guys can slobber and slobber and slobber and slobber and slobber about that right in the middle of what I think one of the best pieces of legislation to ever go through Congress was just passed into law. Did it have every single thing I wanted in it? No. Sure didn't. But who am I to think I should get everything my way? There's 380 million people that I got to share this country with. So what makes me think it's all my way? I'm glad I got 90% of what I wanted. I'm tickled to death. Beats the hell out of getting nothing. And if you think that there's ever going to be a candidate, that there's ever going to be a president, that there's ever going to be a budget bill that has everything in it you want, you're just living in a fantasy world. You're living in some stupid fantasy world that is never going to come true. You can't expect that, and you're not going to have that. You can't get a bill passed by both houses and have just shit in it you want. It's never going to come to be. So you have to compromise. You have to give a little in order to get people to pass it. And I'm sorry so many of you are so small-minded you don't understand that. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. But I love everything the guy's doing. And I can't ask him to do more at this point. I just can't. He's doing way more than anybody else has in a long time. And by God, that is good enough for me. That's good enough for me. I don't need more. And I'm not going to let a bunch of grossly exaggerated internet fairy tales that aren't grounded in anything factual. I mean, literally, all there is assumptions. I want one of you to provide one microspeck of proof that Epstein blackmailed somebody. Just one tiny little, just a microspeck of proof. I bet you there isn't any. You're never going to find any. None of the girls that came forward said they were trafficked. You realize that, right? They claimed that he abused them and that a couple of his friends did it too. None of them claimed, oh, he was taking me everywhere and selling me to people, or taking me everywhere and making me do it on camera in front of people. None of them made that accusation. Nobody came forward and said, hey, that son of a gun blackmailed me. You don't think Maxwell wouldn't have turned state's evidence and sung like a canary if she had something bigger on Epstein that would have got her a lighter sentence? She's doing 20 years for just diddling. She's doing 20 years for diddling. Not blackmail, not a client list, not trafficking. There wasn't even a mention of trafficking in her case. Not even a murmur. And she's doing 20 years. You don't think they said to her, well, you give us everything we need on Epstein, and, of course that conversation was had. But she didn't have nothing to give them. Listen to this fucking dumbass. How are you this stupid? Why do you think she's in jail? You tell me, Nola, why is she in jail? How is he this dumb? How are you this dumb? Please tell me how you're this dumb and you're finding the internet, right? You're able to use a smartphone. So I know you're not like completely retarded. So how are you this dumb to ask such a dumb question? Why is she in jail? Why do you think she's in jail? You tell me. You have Google right in front of you, right? You are stupid. You are. That is the dumbest question in the world. I've been talking about it for an hour. She was arrested for diddling underage girls. And she is in prison for diddling underage girls. She was charged with diddling underage girls. No mention of a client list. No mention of blackmail. No mention of trafficking in her entire case. Her entire case stems from her on a video with Epstein abusing the victim that came forward. Look, okay, I want you to listen. Follow this, okay? He says, I'm not dumb. Then he says this. What's diddling? God, you are. I'm sorry, you are dumb. I hate to be this hard on you, but son, you need help. What do you think diddling is? Figure it out. What do you think it would be? Because there's certain things you can't say on YouTube, right? So, because there's certain things you can't say on YouTube, what do you think diddling would imply? And you just, come on, you've got this daggone Epstein case solved from your smartphone. So solve this. What do you think it might mean? Oh my God. Am I being punked? Look. Is there anybody else in chat that can't figure out what diddling would imply when we're talking about someone in prison for violating someone too young to buy cigarettes? When that's the topic, what do you think it might mean? I think you might be right, Chris. But let me ask you something there, Nola. What if, let's just say, what if, okay, Epstein was a very successful investment broker, okay, and he dealt with a lot of bank underwriters, people that underwrite loans. Now, I'm not too sure if you understand these big words and stuff, since, you can't even figure out what diddling means in the context of abusing an underage person. You can't figure that out, but maybe you do understand what a loan underwriter is. Hope I'm not making it too hard on you here. let's say, and your cousins, girlfriends, nephews, veterinarians, brothers, fiance's dad, borrowed some money from a loan underwriter to build a dog shelter. And in Epstein's client list, you know, the one he kept of everybody that he had on his desk, so when the FBI raided him, they could find it. You know, that one? You know, the one the internet knows all about, but the police don't? That one? That list? And that bank underwriter's phone number is on that client list. And then they go to the bank underwriter, and the bank underwriter has your neighbors, girlfriends, cousins, fiancés, dog groomers, fiancés, veterinarians, stepdad. And so they go seize his Rolodex. And in his Rolodex, somehow your phone number comes up. Now what? Aren't you guilty too now? I mean, because Epstein had, contact with you through some means, right? So you must be guilty too. That's the ignorant you freaking lunatics are asking for. And you're never going to get it. Because it's absurd. You can't blame people of heinous crimes just because someone has their information. It doesn't prove anything. Do you understand that? Please tell me you understand that if Jeffrey Epstein has someone's phone number, that doesn't make them guilty of doing what he did. Do you have sense enough to know that or not? I mean, I'm dead serious. I'm asking you point blank. Do you think someone is guilty of doing the exact same thing Epstein was guilty of simply because he has their phone number? Yes or no? Listen to this. You're repeating what mainstream media shoves down your throat. I don't even have a TV in my house, you simpleton. Like normal TV. I don't have cable TV. The only thing I have is internet on a smart TV. I don't watch any network television. And nothing I'm saying has ever been said on mainstream media. What are you even talking about? They're the ones breathing ad nauseum about some lists that don't exist. Because they know there's people as dumb as you that'll get distracted by it and not pay attention to how successful the president is right now and how well everything he's doing is working. They want you to believe it's all bad. They want you to believe he's in on the Epstein thing. They want you to believe he's in part of the cover-up. And you're falling for it like a fool. And here you are accusing me of being drunk on mainstream media. It's you that's drunk on that nonsense. You're the one that's lost. You're the one screaming for some list that never existed. Never existed. I asked you a question. That don't have anything to do with peanut butter right now. Not one thing. I don't understand how you can't even decipher the topic, let alone anything else. And you want to scream, well, I'm not dumb, but then you say dumb stuff. If Jeffrey Epstein has someone's phone number, does that mean they are guilty as well? Yes or no? I'm waiting. How long does it take to type YES or NO? What? I'm still waiting. What tapes? What tapes are you talking about? What tapes? You think they have tapes of clients diddling? You believe that internet conspiracy? I gotta know. I have to know. I gotta know. Did a commercial jetliner full of passengers that left Teterboro Airport fly into the Pentagon? Yes or no? On 9/11. Just give me your honest answer. Yes? A jet airplane full of passengers flew into the Pentagon and blew a big hole in the side of the building and killed everybody on the airplane? Or no, the government blew a hole in the side of the building and there was no plane? Which one? Oh yeah. uh, oh no. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. So you believe the silly YouTube videos where it looks like a missile hit it and it was a missile? Tell us there, Sugar Pie. Well, I mean, while we're on the subject, okay. God, I can't even believe I'm having this. Is like talking to somebody about whether or not Santa Claus is real. Okay. I mean, that's the level of mentality. I got to dumb myself down a little bit. Okay. There. Dry the creek. Let's say the YouTuber that made the video you watched and got drunk on was so much smarter than every NTSB investigator in the world, because he's a YouTuber, you know. How did they keep 23,000 air traffic controllers from telling the truth? What motive would 23,000 air traffic controllers have to lie about an airplane hitting the Pentagon? And I'm serious. These are the questions you have to be able to answer to believe that silliness. You can't just believe that silliness without defining what it would take for that silliness to be real. And in order for that silliness to be real, 23,000 air traffic controllers would have to be willing to lie and never tell the truth. Everyone that worked at the Pentagon would have to be willing to lie and never tell the truth. Everybody that volunteered to help pick up all the crap and gather everything up for the investigation would have to be willing to lie and never tell the truth. There would have to be a fake family for every passenger on the plane who had fake funerals. Every employee at the airport would have to lie and say, yeah, a plane took off from here, never came back. You realize all of those things would have to happen for the silly YouTube video you watch to be real. Because I saw a security cam video that clearly shows a 737 slamming into the side of the Pentagon. But unlike you, I chose to digest the truth and the facts. I didn't try to not believe the truth and the facts and believe some YouTuber instead, because my brain's too big to be tricked and fooled in such a way. My brain's just too big. So there you are. You made that. You don't believe that a plane hit the Pentagon, but you're not willing to debunk everything it would take for that to be true. Why would 23,000 air traffic controllers be willing to lie for George Bush? Answer me. I want to know. Why? Why do you think they would do that? You understand that you can't have an airplane, a commercial airliner in the sky, and it not be seen by every air traffic controller. And that every air traffic control screen is recorded, logged, and archived. And that there are always 23,000 air traffic controllers monitoring our skies every single frickin' day in this world. It would be impossible to claim a jet airliner full of people crashed if it never really happened. You understand? It would be fucking impossible, right? You got sense enough to know that, I hope. You can't believe these silly conspiracies without debunking everything that debunks your conspiracy. Again, in order to claim that a hijacked plane was flown into the Pentagon at the exact same time two other hijacked planes were flown into the World Trade Center, we saw them on camera live. You simpleton. We saw the planes hit the building live on television. And you let some YouTuber make a video and convince you that the other plane, that the media, the building the media wasn't focused on because the World Trade Centers were crumbling, the Pentagon, that the big hole that ended up in the side of it, we blew that up. We had dynamite. George Bush was so daggone slick. Are you ready for this? But listen, I want you guys to listen. I got this straight from Upchurch, so you know it's true. Okay? George Bush was so daggone smart. He was able to go and jackhammer the pylons in two of the world's tallest buildings that see over 150,000 visitors a day. And nobody noticed. Nobody saw the semis of explosive material being hauled in. Nobody saw the dump trucks of concrete that would have been hauled away from them jackhammering all the pylons, planting all the explosives and all the strategic places it would take to get the building to implode on itself. And then he went over and he planted dynamite in the Pentagon at the exact same time. Three crazed religious lunatics hijacked some airplanes and flew them into them buildings. Who would have ever been able to make that guess and get it right and all coordinated together and stuff like that and nothing go wrong? And pull it off so well that not a speck of explosive material or dust or powder was found? Only airplane parts. That's all we found was just airplane parts. I'm going to tell you, that son of a gun was good. By God. You talk about somebody really pulled something off. Imagine that. Blow 3 buildings up with dynamite and not leave a trace of evidence. And do it on the same day some religious nuts hijack some airplanes for a cover-up. And since one of the airplanes crashed in a field in Pennsylvania, since that crashed over there, we had to just go ahead and blow a hole in the side of the Pentagon with no plane. And then when nobody was looking, we brought in a dump truck of airplane parts and dumped them all over the lawn. Try to pull that shit off and get away with it. You guys want to badmouth George Bush? He's the smartest sumbitch in the world. I mean, that's some heavy duty stuff right there, buddy. Not leave any trace of explosives at all. I bet you. I gotta ask. I do. Gosh dang it, I gotta ask. Oh, I just gotta know. Oh, where'd they go? Oh no, where'd they go? I just gotta know if he thinks that jet fuel can melt steel. Whoo! I can't believe you people can be tricked and fooled so easy. There's no way the government could blow a hole in the side of the Pentagon and claim that an airliner full of passengers flew into it on the same day 2 airliners absolutely did fly into the World Trade Center and one crashed in a field and get away with it. There's no way. There's just no way that could happen. You understand that, right? There's no way you can get 50,000 people to go along with some ridiculous conspiracy to blow a hole in the side of the Pentagon for no reason. Jesus God. You know, I used to sit and wonder, I used to think to myself, how in God's name do these Nigerian scammers get people to give them their bank info and like actually go to the bank, take money out, Go buy a gift card with it and then give them the gift card number. I think, how can anyone fall for something so blatantly obvious? And yet it's $1 billion a year industry. They trick and fool people every single day. I mean, there are people that literally get in their car while on the phone with these idiots and go to the bank, take their money out, and go buy a gift card with it and give them the gift card number. They do it every day. And it's these people right here, the ones that think that no plane flew into the World Trade Center, the ones that think Kylie Rodney wasn't real, the ones that think that the World Trade Center was an inside job, the ones that think laser beams came out of space and caused wildfires in Hawaii. Those are the people that fall for the Nigerian email scammers. Those are the people. They're real. It does happen. They are that small-minded. And I'm sorry if it hurts anyone's feelings, but you got to hear it. I mean, I guess I got to be your daddy for a minute. You can't believe a conspiracy until you have debunked everything it would take to pull the conspiracy off, right? You can't be so narrow-minded to believe no plane hit the Pentagon unless you're willing to believe that 30,000 people would be willing to lie for George Bush. The 10 minutes. And let me tell you. Oh, for goodness sakes. Woo. Go ahead and send this one down the road. Goodbye. So, you tell me, how in the world can you believe this stuff without first debunking the things it would take to make it possible? And then the motive behind it all. It's like, there's no way. I don't care who you are. Don't care if it hurts your feelings. I'm just going to tell you, if you think there wasn't a plane that hit the Pentagon, you're just dumb. And you've been tricked and fooled. And you should be ashamed. Because it is absolutely impossible. Impossible. For that many people to be in on a conspiracy and nobody ever tell. Not one person. Jesus God. Do you not understand you cannot claim a commercial airliner left an airport full of people and flew into a building if it never happened? You're never going to get away with saying that. Air traffic controller is going to go, oh, no. There was, we saw that airplane. You got the employees at the airport that check the passengers in at baggage claim. Well, they would have to be on the conspiracy too. They'd say, yep, I know no plane left here, didn't have no passengers on it because it was all a fake job for George Bush and everything. But, and I work at the airport, and I'm just going to go ahead and say that I checked in 233 passengers. And here's what we're going to do. Okay. We're going to call our cousins and our nephews and our drinking buddies, and we're all going to pretend to be grieving families that lost a loved one at the destination airport where this plane this fake plane was headed. And we're all going to act like we're crying and have like these fake tears running down our face. And Billy Bob over here, his cousin's got a dump truck, And we're going to go to an airplane junkyard and we're going to get some airplane parts and we're going to dump them on their lawn at the Pentagon. So it kind of looks like a plane did hit it. Now, Ronnie, I need you to call every air traffic controller that's working today and make sure they're sworn to secrecy. Okay? They've got to pretend that an airplane left this airport full of people, headed for its destination, and then it did a U-turn and flew back and flew into the World Trade Center. And they all got to be in on it. Can't be one defector. And then here comes Mary Lou. Why are we doing this? Billy Bob says, I don't know. I mean, Ron told me we had to do it. Hey, Ronnie, why are we pretending like an airplane's flying from the airport with 235 people on it today that's going to crash into the Pentagon, but it really ain't real? Why are we doing all this? Ronnie said, George Bush told me to. That's why. Well, when did you ever talk of George Bush? God, I feel sorry for you dumbasses. It's absurd. If you think no plane flew into the Trade Center, you need to stay off the damn internet for at least a year. You got to just shut the internet off for at least an entire year. I would say it would take about an entire year to get reprogrammed into having some kind of rational reason, because there is no way you could get that many people to cooperate with some ridiculous conspiracy that's just coincidentally going to happen on the exact same day. Some very real religious nuts hijack some very real planes and fly them into two of the tallest buildings in the world. How do you think, isn't it funny how they say these things and then they run and hide because they realize once they see it in text, they realize how stupid they are. What? We still don't know. We still don't know why all these people would be willing to go along with it. Did they get money? Were they just really in love with George Bush? And how did George Bush convince some religious nuts to commit suicide on the same day he wanted to blow the Pentagon up? God. Oh, these multi-layer conspiracies. God, I feel sorry for you. Epstein was arrested for abusing girls who are not old enough to buy cigarettes. His girlfriend was arrested, charged, and convicted, and is doing 20 years in prison for abusing girls too young to buy cigarettes, along with her boyfriend, Jeffrey Epstein. Everything else is wild assumptions based on pure imagination. Like I said, there ain't one microspeck of evidence he blackmailed anybody. People think, oh, he blackmailed Bill Gates. He did, because Bill Gates said, well, he's dead. Well, whatever. Like I said, do I think he may have hooked a couple of his buddies up? I suppose. I suppose Little Hot Pants was, willing to hook a couple of his buddies up. But as far as decades and decades of blackmailing some of the richest people in the world, and they wait till you're in jail to off you? I mean, it's so dumb. God, it's so dumb. Why didn't all you people that think, every one of you that think or believe that Epstein was deleted in his jail cell by powerful people because he had the dirt on him, right? So somehow they got in the jail and deleted him. Why didn't they delete him the first time he got arrested? Because he was arrested for it once before. So why didn't they delete him then? If you're a rich and powerful guy that's so connected that you can get a guy deleted on the inside of a county jail, wouldn't you just delete the guy on the outside where it's a hell of a lot easier? I mean, if I was a rich and powerful guy with all these connections and I flew to your island and hooked up with your little Miss Hot Pants, and I found out you videotaped it and you came to me to try to blackmail me for millions of dollars, I'd delete your ass the next day. I wouldn't wait 10 years until you got arrested and go ahead and pay you millions to be quiet. I would shut you up. And there's yet you people think that he was able to do that to dozens of people. And everybody said, oh, you got me, Jeff. Here's 10 million. Please don't tell on me. Don't release the tape you did of me doing it. I kind of figured there's a camera in there. I should have looked. God. Jesus. You've got to slow down and think things through. Everything you hear on the internet is subject to bullshit. Everything. So you got to slow down and you got to say, okay, they're telling me that no plane flew into the Pentagon, that George Bush planted dynamite and just blew a hole in the side of the Pentagon to make it look like a plane hit it on the very same day that some planes actually did fly into the Pentagon. So, in order for that to happen, all the air traffic controllers would have to be in it. All the people that worked at the airport would have to be in on it. There would have to be 200 and some fake grieving families that are willing to have 200 and some fake funerals. The FFA investigators would have to be in on it. Everyone that works at the Pentagon would have to be in on it. the terrorist who actually flew the two planes into the Pentagon would have to be in on it because they admitted they hijacked 4 airplanes. I mean, they told us they hijacked 4 airplanes, so they would have to be in on it too, because according to you guys, 2 of the airplanes were never really hijacked. They just lied about them and just blew a hole in the side of the Pentagon with dynamite. And then dug a hole in a field in Indiana and just set a plane crash there, but it really didn't. I mean, do you realize how silly it gets in just a matter of seconds? If you just stop and start thinking about it. And then you got to ask why. Okay, why would all the air traffic controllers be willing to be in on this? Because every one of them are probably not George Bush voters. Some of them might be flaming liberals who want to see George Bush go to jail. Right? So you want to believe that Epstein blackmailed people for money. He blackmailed so many people that he has a client list of guilty people. And 2 different political administrations. 2, not 1, but 2, a Democrat political administration and a Republican administration, both are willing to cover that up for these rich, powerful people that he's been blackmailing. And not one person Epstein blackmailed ever put a hit on him or told on him on their deathbed, or none of the girls that were involved ever told. Everybody just bowed to Jeffrey Epstein. 2 different departments of justice, 2 different FBIs, 2 different presidential administrations, and another country. Sure. Yep. Yep. Happens all the time. We'll go over some comments here. Some of you guys are pretty lively tonight. Let's see what we got. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I just don't have any idea at all, man. I sit around watching CBS all day, and I just believe everything they say. God damn. What's diddling? I mean, I know we're talking about 2 people in prison for abusing people not old enough to buy cigarettes. But what's this diddling thing? Whew. Don't you say I'm stupid. Yeah, I sure am crazy. Yeah, I'm the crazy one. I'm the crazy one. The one that's got sense enough to know multi-layer conspiracy theories are fucking impossible. Conspiracy theories that require more than 3 players are fucking impossible. Especially in Washington, where nobody keeps their mouth shut. Jeez. And the real travesty, the actual, here you guys are, we want the list, we want the list, we want the list of names that don't prove anything. Like I've said, if you guys had every single person Jeffrey Epstein ever spoke to it wouldn't prove a damn thing. Not one damn thing. And it's just absurd for you to think that the DOJ is going to release tapes that have children being abused for you to inspect. Because a YouTuber told you they was lying. Not any official law enforcement, nobody in the FBI that hates Trump, nobody in the FBI that loves Trump. None of those people can be believed. But some YouTuber just looking for clicks and views. Now there is some solid info. Good Lord, man. I got to put my glass. Let me turn this off. We're going to turn it off. There we go. Man, they change this every time I get in every time I get in this StreamYards GUI, it's changed. For the better, I'm not complaining, but boy, do they update it a lot. Nobody lied about the tax on overtime. Nobody lied about it. Oh, my God. This is the other thing that just blows my mind. Passing bills into laws in Washington, D.C. has been the same since the inception of politics. It's give and take. It's give and take. You understand that in order for your bill to become a law, it has to be voted on. And if you can't get anybody to vote on it, you're just fucking wasting your time. So negotiations happen at the last minute. Of course they do. And we want it that way. We absolutely want it that way. It's checks and balances. It keeps one party from running amok and just doing whatever they want. That's the whole point. That's why our founding fathers set it up that way. And the same people continually, here he is accusing me of mainstream with that bullshit he was just talking right there. That's mainstream bullshit. That came straight from mainstream media. And that's all they ever do is try to get people all whipped up into a frenzy over something in the bill that is never going to come to fruition, by the way. You understand that radical shit is thrown in the bill just so they can cry to the media about it and distract you from the shit that really matters. And at the last minute, it's a give and take. It's a give and take. If you only got, if you need 50 votes for the bill to pass, and you only got 48 people willing to vote, and to get the last two people to vote, you got to change something. You're going to change something. Again, like I said, I'm tickled that we got what we got. It's a whole lot better than what we had before. And if we got 80% of what we wanted or 85% of what we wanted, that is a win. And if you are under some delusion that you think you're going to get 100% of what you wanted, You're just living in a fantasy world that doesn't exist. That world don't exist. That Congress doesn't exist. That Senate doesn't exist. That president doesn't exist. And thank God they don't. I don't ever want to see a president that gets every single thing they want. Because that would be called what? What would that be called? If a person in power got every single thing they wanted, what would we call that? We call it a dictator. We don't want that. And I've been conservative minded most of my life. I apply common sense and rational thought to everything. And not every Democrat policy is bad. And not every Republican policy is good. Just, it is what it is. But at least with Donald Trump, you're getting about 80% to 90% of what you would really want to see. And it is way better than what you had before. So what are you whining about? You should be cheering. But you guys let stupid YouTube podcasters and talking heads on the TV distract you into all kind of ridiculous nonsense that has no effect on you. I mean, I'll bet you none of you guys know. Let me do a little test. Well, you guys probably could Google it and find out, but almost all of that bill that passed, the big, beautiful bill, you understand it doesn't even go into effect until 2028. So when you got these people saying that, oh, it was these cost cuts, that's why these people drowned in Texas. No one's seen any cost cuts yet. Those won't take effect until 2028. Ever since I've been old enough to remember, Democrats have said, Republicans are going to cut your Social Security. It's never been cut. Although the Democrats have spent the money on all kinds of other nonsense and gave it to other countries and shit, it's never been cut. But none of the big things in that bill take effect till 2028. Don't believe me? Go check. So nobody can be running their mouth that it had some effect on them. It didn't. And I don't understand what some list of people Epstein may have known is going to do for anybody, because it doesn't prove that they did anything. Just having someone's contact info don't do shit. And there's no tapes of people. There just aren't any tapes like that. I know you want there to be some, and it sounds so cool and just seems like such a thing. No, there would have been none of these rich, powerful people would be stupid enough to put themselves in a position to be recorded doing something to a minor. None of them are that stupid. They didn't get rich being stupid. There is no way in hell this old kid, let's say I am let's say I'm perv and I'm rich. And Epstein flies me to his island and dangles a bunch of underage in front of my face, and I can't help myself. It'd be a cold day in hell before I'd do anything anywhere where he could have a camera. And I'd be watching for that. I mean, my God. I mean, I think some of you people think that, you know, they walked in a room and there was all this cameras and lighting and they just jumped in and they recorded everything and put the person's name on it and put it in a stack and then added their name to the list on the desk and then called them on Monday to blackmail them. It just didn't happen. What do you want to know about the towers? You mean the two towers that planes flew into live on television? Those two towers? Is that the ones you're talking about? The ones that got knocked down because terrorists hijacked airplanes and flew them into those buildings? Is that what you're talking about? On 9/11, those towers? The ones we saw airplanes fly into live on television? On 5 different networks? Recorded by thousands of other eyewitnesses, seen by thousands of firemen and EMS and other people. Those 2 airplanes, them's the ones you're talking about. What do you think I don't know about them that you know? I'd love to hear it. You can't melt steel. I guess I'm going to have to do a blowtorch demonstration for stupid people. Candle wax can melt steel if it's got high wind behind it. You could literally melt steel with a candle. Steel a foot thick. You could burn a hole straight through it with a candle. If you just put a bunch of pressurized air behind it and turn it into a blowtorch. And that is exactly what happened to those 2 buildings when a hole was knocked in the side of the building by an airplane flying into it that then dumped thousands of gallons of fuel and ignited it. It turned it into a massive chimney blast furnace blowtorch. And it would have melted anything. Sorry, you guys are too dumb to know these things. What am I supposed to say? Am I supposed to dumb myself down and pretend that I don't know how a blowtorch works? How do you guys think a blowtorch works? Because you understand that a blowtorch, I mean, I know what maybe you don't, but some of you got to know what a blowtorch is. You know, a blowtorch can cut through plate steel like it's butter, right? Why does that happen? How can a tiny little blowtorch with nothing but acetylene is a very low flammable. It's extremely low. It's lower than a candle. It's a very dull, cold fire. It burns cold and dull. Acetylene does. But if you add pressurized oxygen to it, it turns into a blowtorch. And you can burn a hole through the thickest steel in the world in a matter of seconds. And that is exactly what happened to those World Trade Centers. They were turned into massive chimney blowtorches by having a huge hole knocked in the side of them and a bunch of diesel fuel to ignite the fire. And yeah, jet fuel is diesel fuel. And all it had to do was melt a couple of floors. And then the floors below couldn't hold all that weight anymore. Each beam carried a portion of the weight. So if you blowtorch 2 or 3 beams out, Now, all of a sudden, the beams below are carrying way more weight than they were designed to carry. And it's a domino effect. The beam above it lets go, and now everything above that beam is setting on the beam below it. And then that beam lets go, and now all that weight above it's setting on the beam below, and now it lets go, and it just boom, 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 just like a fucking domino effect. No, nobody blew it up. No, nobody put dynamite in it. No, nobody imploded any building. Jesus. Nearly 30,000 air traffic controllers watched in horror as all four of those planes made U-turns and started heading for their targets. And there is an abundance of radio traffic, an abundance of recorded air traffic controller screens to back that up. They were able to call ahead and say, hey, we've got planes on our screen that turned around. What is going on? We can't get a hold of the pilots. Alert, alert. Here you people think that that could be faked somehow. How would, and then there's the idiots that think it was all like in conjunction. How would George Bush have known on that very day terrorists were going to hijack airplanes? How would he have known that ahead of time? To have this building ready to implode and then some dynamite over at the Pentagon to fake a plane hitting there. I mean, it's just so dumb. Jesus. So, yeah. Well, you don't want to talk about 9/11 because you can't explain away how and why so many air traffic controllers, so many people that worked at the airport, so many passengers' families would be willing to lie to go along with a conspiracy to dynamite a hole in the side of the Pentagon for no goddamn reason. You're too embarrassed to try to debunk that because you know you can't. Just retarded, man. Holy God. Like I said, you guys are the reason why the Nigerian phone scammers make $1 billion a year because there are NOLAs in the world. I'll bet you any amount of money you get one of them emails. Hey, yeah, I'm a Nigerian prince and I'm trapped in Ethiopia. My moped broke down and I inherited $85 gazillion. And if you give me your bank account info and your routing number and everything, so I can sneak my money out of Gazakaville and I'll share it with you. How's that sound? And you probably reply with your bank info. And then go, man, I got ripped off. I don't know what happened. Dude was supposed to give me $2 million. You're one of those people. Oh, my Lord. Listen to this dumbass. Here, let's do something real quick. I love debunking stupidity and ignorance. Stupidity and ignorance. Here we go. Okay. Oh, yeah. Here we go. God, I love making people just, there's nothing more I enjoy. Okay. I told you guys a long time ago. Okay. See, my granddaddy told me when I was real young, he said, don't you ever speak on something you don't know anything about because you're going to sound like a fool to the people that do. Now, I never forgot him saying that. So if I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, I don't say anything. If I take the time to say it, you can bet your ass I took the time to find out. Yes, there is 30,000 air traffic controllers monitoring the skies of this world every single fucking day. Every screen is logged. Every passenger plane has an active transponder. You cannot lie about a commercial airplane full of passengers crashing and get away with it. It is fucking impossible. It cannot be done. There's too many people that could debunk it. Again, let's pretend I'm the stupid one and you're the smart one, and George Bush blew a hole in the Pentagon and lied and said an airplane did it. How'd he get all the people at the airport to lie? You know, right? Because there was 200 passengers on it. Bunch of families at the other end where the airplane was destined to, waiting on their loved ones to arrive. So you had to have all the employees at the airport where it took off lie, and all the employees at the airport where it was supposed to go lying. You had to have the owners of the aircraft, TWA, whoever the fuck it was that owned it. I believe it was a TWA airplane. They would have had to lie and say, yep, we're missing a plane, when they're really not. Do you understand all the amount of fucking lying it would take to pull that off? The amount of people? Let's forget about air traffic controllers for a second. Okay, so I'm going to make up a story that a jet airliner full of people crashed into my house and blew it to pieces. But instead, I'm going to just take a stick of dynamite and blow a hole in my house so I can scam my insurance company. What do you think the first thing that's going to happen when I call 911 and say, hey, a plane full of people just crashed into my house and put a big hole in it? What's the first thing's going to happen? Hello, hey, yeah. We got a guy reporting a plane crash. You guys got any planes falling out of the sky over there? Nope. Hadn't been any planes reported falling out of the sky here. None of our air traffic controllers have lost any planes that were on their screen or anything. Well, can you call all the major airlines and ask them if they've got a missing airplane anywhere? Can you call all the airports and see if a plane that was on arrival didn't show up? You see how fucking stupid it gets pretty quick? Dumbass. And I mean dumbass. You're a dumbass. An absolute small-minded, low IQ dumbass. If you think someone can fake a commercial airline full of people crashing and get away with it, you are an absolute small-minded fool that would give a Nigerian email scammer your bank info. Okay, dumbass. Let me make this bigger. There you go. Now let's wait a minute. Let me do this. This should still be able to make it bigger. Let me try something else. It's not that important. Let's let that play for a minute. Okay, dipshit. That's how many planes there are in the sky at any given moment in this country. And every single one of them is accounted for at every single minute of every single day. You understand, have you ever even been to an airport? Sounds to me like you've never even set foot in an airport. You know, every flight is scheduled for that day is up on a great big fucking screen in about 500 places in the airport. And the flight's assigned a number, flight 235 TWA out of Teterboro at 7:30. There is no fucking way on this earth anyone, not the president, not Elon Musk, not God, not a terrorist, nobody that could claim that an airplane full of passengers flew into the side of a fucking building and put a hole in it unless it actually did happen, because it would be debunked in a matter of seconds. The plane would have been on the flight list at the airport with a scheduled flight. There would have been 200 and some tickets sold for that airplane. There would have been baggage claim for that airplane with baggage tickets. That plane would have had a destination with people there to pick it up, with it scheduled on their screen in their airport at an arrival time. And its transponder would have been monitored from the time the son of a bitch was turned on until it was turned off at the other end. And if that son of a bitch and plane went missing for a millisecond, every single air traffic controller in the world would be looking for it. You cannot fake a commercial airplane crash. It cannot be done. You simpleton. God, I don't know how people are this goddamn stupid in 2025 with the internet right in front of them. Well, there's not 30,000 air traffic controllers. Dude, we only got about 3 airplanes flying around. I'll bet there's more than 30,000. That's a conservative figure. They could see those planes on the other side of the fucking world. And in fact, they do. Every flight in the air, commercial, is tracked by every commercial radar. Yeah, whatever. I couldn't imagine being as dumb as it would have to be to believe that George Bush blew a hole in the Pentagon and said a plane did it and got away with it. On the same day, the actual planes did fly into the World Trade Center live on television in front of thousands of people. But some YouTuber said it was all fake. So it must have been. I watched it. I watched what he said 2 times. He even wrote a book and I bought it. His brother's inheriting $18 million. And he said, if I let him put it in my bank account, I could keep $2 million. So I'm sending him all my bank info tomorrow. Just so you know. No shit. Look, hey, you know what? Guess what, Nola? I'm magic. You want to see me do magic? You want to see me do magic? I could do magic. I could make this disappear. See? It's gone. See that? You see that? I was born with special powers. That's all I can say, man. Born with special powers. I try to figure out, okay, like the conversation, right? So here's George Bush, right? Hey, you know, I really would like to have some amount of oil they got over in Iraq, and I don't want to pay for that shit. You know, our taxpayer money. I'd rather use our taxpayer money to buy myself a new SUV. So I don't want to pay for no fuel. So unless you and I concoct a plan to go to war so I can steal me some oil. You in? Hell yeah, I'm in, man. Let's do it, dude. Okay. Well, we need to have a meeting with every air traffic controller, every airport employee, every travel agent, every ticket sales agent, every airline and airline manufacturer, and every airline mechanic. And then we need to have a meeting with everyone that's going to be outside on 9/11. And you go get all those people for me and put them in the stadium over here and let me come and talk to them about how we're going to pull this off. Jesus. What conspiracy theory do I believe in that an overlord told me? That Jeffrey Epstein don't have a list of people that helped him violate people too young to buy cigarettes? Jesus. How do you get to be this gullible? How? How? I just would love to see one of them sit down and just break it down. This is how they did it. This is how George Bush planted dynamite and blew up the world's tallest buildings and the Pentagon. At the exact same time, some terrorists hijacked some airplanes, and then he faked an airplane hitting the Pentagon and one crashing in a field. Just lay it out from beginning to end exactly how they did it. I'd love to hear it. And both of those buildings just imploded so perfect. Just perfect. But they were able to prepare them for implosion without making a sound. They semied in all that dynamite, put it in just the right place. Because you know jet fuel can't melt steel. Blowtorches can, but jet fuel can't. But I don't know how blowtorch works. But anyway. And yet Jeffrey Epstein, he tricked the richest people in the world, letting him record them diddling someone too young to buy cigarettes. That's how he got rich. He never did have a real job. No. But for decades, he just went around blackmailing really high-powered people. No, he didn't have to worry about any of those high-powered people putting a hit out on him. No. He only had to worry about them doing that if he got arrested. They wouldn't have put a hit out on him when he was on his island where there was no police in sight. They would wait until he was in a jail full of police to put a hit on him. Sure. I mean, they literally give you a video of the fucking jail so you could try to understand how hard it would be for somebody to go in there, go through everything it would take to get in his cell and choke him out and leave without being seen. And it ain't good enough. That must be fake. It sounds just like that ignorant, dumbass up church that's got the mind of a 10-year-old. Thinking that the Forestry Service edited some tape of Collie Rodney driving her car in the water to help her parents scam money from GoFundMe. A girl nobody knew. A family nobody knew. Jeez. Oh. Look at this stupidity. This fucking ignorant stupidity. I don't know how in God's name. So here's what they want you to believe. Okay. And these are the things you can't get these conspiracy theorists to ever answer. Okay. Here's this comment for some of you that are just listening and can't read. We're talking about this extremely low IQ individual that thinks Jeffrey Epstein videotaped thousands of people that he was blackmailing, perpetrating crimes against little people, and he had it sitting on his desk for the FBI to find when they raided him. And he blackmailed these people for years, and none of them decided to put a hit on him till he was in a jail surrounded by police. He keeps saying 2 buildings. 3 towers fell when only 2 were hit with planes. Tower 7 falling the same way is sus. Y'all stupid if you think otherwise. I'll bet you've never been to New York City. You were never at the World Trade Center, were you? You understand that all those buildings were connected, right? They all were connected. There was a huge mall underneath, and you could go from one building to the other to the other. And then below that even was a subway. And when you have 2 of the world's tallest fucking buildings flaming like blowtorches to the point they crumble right fucking beside another building that's built on the exact same platform, pretty good chance that one's coming down too. It was about a third the size of the other 2 buildings. All of the debris fell on those. All of the fucking debris from Tower 1 fell right on top of Tower 7, you dumbass. And now it had way too much weight on it than it was designed to hold. And the foundation under it had been disrupted right along with the other 2 towers. This is the shit that you can't get these stupid asses to acknowledge. So let's for a minute pretend that George Bush was able to convince all these people to go along with some conspiracy to blow up Building 7. Why not just fly a plane into it too then? Why go through the trouble of putting dynamite in Building 7 and dynamite in the Pentagon? Why not just go ahead and fly 2 more planes into those 2 buildings too and knock them all down with airplanes? And that way nobody would suspect a thing. Do you see how fucking dumb I'm going to do a conspiracy where some planes fly into a building, but then I want to knock another building down too. How could I knock that building down? Well, boss, couldn't we just fly a plane into that one too? Well, yeah. But wouldn't it be easier for us to just sneak dynamite in there at night and jackhammer all the pilings? But boss, wouldn't that make a lot of noise and smoke? And wouldn't we have to haul the concrete away? And wouldn't there be like some trace of all this dynamite and shit? And what if it don't really work right? Wouldn't we get caught? Wouldn't it be easier just to fly a plane into it too? I mean, what's another plane? I don't know, Bobby. I don't know, man. I think we need to blow up Building 7, and we need to blow up the Pentagon and then actually fly 2 real planes into the tower. But, boss, I still think we ought to just fly a plane into every building. That'd be easier than trying to dynamite those 2 buildings. We might get caught. We might get caught. Dumbass. Hey, Rich, that's 24 people more than listen to you run your stupid fucking mouth. Hey, have you gotten tired yet trying to teach yourself Linux by copying and pasting some command lines so you could prove something to somebody someday? Are you done doing that yet? Are you done doing that? You're wasting your fucking time, okay? I played with Slackware when there was a reason to play with it, because there was nothing else. My first computer didn't have a desktop and a mouse to click on things. But you knock yourself out there trying to teach yourself something that's going to have no benefit to you at all. There would honestly be no valid reason on this earth today in 2025 for anybody to have a home Slackware or anything, unless you're running like a legit web interface, like a local internal network for some corporation or something, where you got to like run legit secure lamps and stuff. There's really no need. Not going to do much with it. Debang would be much better. I mean, Slackware was a hacker's game for people way back in the day when there was nothing else going. But you knock yourself out there, big man. Hey, and by the way, you meet any more caretakers that sell 450 used motorcycles in a year? In a town with population of 1,200 people? You're the dumbest bastard in the world. You got a lot of fucking nerve talking about somebody viewing mine. You and that other queer buddy of yours worked your asses off, and you couldn't even bust 1,000 subscribers in 2 years. I wouldn't be running your mouth too much. You don't have a leg to stand on. Nobody gives a rat's ass what you have to say. Your credibility is so poor that if you were standing outside in the fucking pouring down rain and you told somebody it was raining, they'd have to go outside and check and see for themselves. They would not be able to believe you. That's how bad you people's credibility is. So you just keep on knocking yourself out, dude. You are absolutely insignificant. And if I have 2 listeners, I've got 1 more than you'll have on any given day. How many subs you got now? 200? Or are you up to 3 now? What a fucking loser. Living alone, addicted to a substance, trying to working your ass off to learn to learn enough about an obsolete operating system just so you could try to prove something to some old guy that lives halfway across the country from you, simply because he criticized Ryan Upchurch. That is what you call fucking pathetic. That's what you call an absolute miserable existence. Yeah, whatever. I don't sound as stupid as you. George Bush blew up the World Trade Centers. Epstein's got videotapes. I don't want them. Did you see that? They shot laser beams out of space and set them cars in Hawaii on fire. A regular fire won't burn like that. Ain't that right, Billy Bob? Regular fire can't match to you like that. Yeah, but Bobby, the wind was blowing about 20 miles an hour. And, you know, it kind of act like my blowtorch when it does that. You know, when high wind gets behind a flame, it really cranks up the heat, you know, and it'll spot burn. It won't campus burn like a slow burning fire. It's a real hot fire that pinpoints when the wind's blowing that strong. You know, that's right, Bobby. That's how our blowtorch works. You know how when we cut the hood hinges off of our demolition derby cars, you know how that blowtorch just blow right through them metal hinges? What? Them fires do the same thing in high wind. No. They shot a laser beam straight from outer space and did that shit. You ain't gonna pull my leg any. Hey, Rich Newbuck, that's right. And I know more about Slackware and PBR anyway. I've been working on it for 2 weeks. Got nothing better to do anyhow. Ain't like I got anything going on in my life. Ain't like I'm going anywhere or got any woman to please. The only thing I got to do is try to prove PBR wrong about something someday. And I'll get it. Someday I'll get it. It'll happen. How's that for you? It was their money. Yeah, it shouldn't happen, but it was their money. They seized it. That was money we seized when we put sanctions on Iraq the first time. We seized all their assets from all of any assets they had anywhere with any of our people that were members of NATO, allies. We seized it all and froze it. And for some reason, dumbass Obama decided to give it back to him, which was stupid. But I think he thought it would get him brownie points, and he, you know, I think deep down that son of a bitch hated America and hated white people. And let me tell you something there, Nola wussy bitch. I'm more Southern than you'll ever be. My mother was born in Alabama, grew up in Alabama. I lived in Mississippi and Alabama. I don't want to hear it. You don't know what you're talking about. My mother was in Selma when MLK did his whole thing there. Well, yeah, no kidding. I couldn't imagine my life being so fucking pathetic that I hear some guy that's way older than me So they would have obviously been around before the internet, right? That's just a given, right? Somebody in their 60s would absolutely, positively have been around when the internet came about. And I'm triggered by their success so much that they mention, hey, man, I really had fun playing with Slackware. Not because I wanted to prove anything. It's because there was nothing else. My first computer just literally had a command line. There was no desktop. Windows hadn't even been released yet. And the whole point in even doing anything with it was to run a Doom server internally in our house so 4 of my friends could come over and we could link our computers and play Doom. And it just snowballed from there. Sorry if that triggers your life. But as soon as I didn't need to use such a complicated operating system, what's the point now? I mean, the right way to do it now is to just go buy a multi-processor server on eBay, one of those goddamn Dell, a 720 or a 760 dual processor, put you, one of those virtual desktops on there with some ESXi and run a virtual Slackware if you want to play with it, run a virtual Debunking if you want to play with it, run a virtual Windows if you want to play with it, run all 3 if you want to play. But you'd have to have a serious amount of time to kill for absolutely fucking nothing. Just absolutely, there's just absolutely not a fucking thing to gain by it today in 2025, unless you work in that industry and have an absolute commercial need to do that. For a hobbyist, you're talking about somebody that's going to sit on their ass in front of a computer screen for hours on end, trying to do one tiny little thing. Because if one fucking hashtag is wrong, it won't work. And, it's a lot easier today because you've got the internet and you can Google, hey, how do I make a set of IP chains in Slackware that'll open 2 ports for me on my iNet managed router? You can Google that. And some son of a gun's already made a module, and all you got to do is copy, paste the code, and save it, and launch it, and you're done. Back when I did it, you had to figure that shit out. There was no website to go to copy, paste it, and all that stuff. I literally had to go buy a fucking book about Linux and learn the hybrid of Slackware from Linux in order to get it to do the shit. I was running a multi-node BBS on Slackware in 1993. Dumbass. Not because I wanted to prove something to somebody I saw on the internet, was because there was no other way to do it. So it was do that or not have a multi-node BBS and play multiplayer games. But by the time I was 40, I grew out of it. Sorry to tell you. Knock yourself out, dumbass. Maybe you'll make a new internet friend that'll tell you a big bunch of bullshit stories and you'll get a whole new subscriber out of it. Newbuck would first have to get a job before he could get a Ford Pinto. You can't get any of that on SSDI. You got to drive some broke down piece of shit. Hey, how we doing, Bobby? Appreciate you tuning in. I just been kind of ranting. I got to get off here anyway. Jesus Christ, it's getting late. Anyway, I appreciate y'all tuning in. I just wanted to shoot the shit about that. I just can't believe. I'm so disappointed. And so many of the MAGA people instantly believing in some stupid internet born fucking conspiracy that isn't real, and then unwilling to give Trump and his cabinet the benefit of the doubt after that guy has sacrificed so gosh damn much for you. You guys make me ashamed, man. I wouldn't want to be seen with you. And I've done a whole lot of unsubscribing this week. The people I watched for a long time. When I realized they were so stupid that they believed that Epstein kept a client list of perpetrators. When I found out there were that many stupid people I was listening to, I started unsubscribing. Because you got to be really, 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 really super dumb to believe any of that shit. And like I said, I worked in New Albany, Ohio. I live close to there. I saw what Epstein does for money. I watched it happen. I watched the Facebook data center get built. I watched the Google data center get built. I watched mansions being torn down and hundreds of acres being developed and roads and streets being built for access and parking lots and 2 more lanes added to a county road to accommodate the traffic. I saw all that take place. And Jeffrey Epstein spearheaded every bit of that. So when I sat and listened to somebody say, oh, he didn't do nothing for a living, he just blackmailed people, I just shake my fucking head. How can anyone be that dumb? You can't make millions of dollars blackmailing people because you recorded them diddling somebody too young to buy cigarettes. You're not going to get that many people to be that stupid, especially rich people. So if you're going to run around talking that shit, you bet your ass I'm not interested in anything you have to say anymore. And good luck to you there, new buck. You keep acting away at that slack, or you'll prove something someday. I don't know what, but you'll prove it. Catch you guys later. Appreciate you tuning in.